If you're driving home, right, with regret or worried and knowing that you went a bit too hard with any other training partner, you know you did the wrong thing.
Yeah. You're in fight or flight mode.
Right.
Right? You're operating on instincts.
How well can you cover? How well can you protect yourself? And can you execute the techniques that you have in your brain? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a very interesting conversation because for today's podcast episode, we will be discussing sparring and how hard should you go when sparring. Today, once again, I've got Stefan with me. Hi Stefan, how are you?
Hi SiFu.
So let's jump straight into it. So I don't know if many Wing Chun practitioners out there actually spar regularly. Or let's first define what is sparring. So in your opinion, what would you say is sparring?
I think sparring is a tool to help you apply and execute the moves that you've drilled in a random scenario. So would you say sparring is chisao? So when you do freestyle chisao, would you call that sparring? No.
Right, I agree. Because I know a lot of people out there will just assume that because they're doing some freestyle sparring and they're going kind of like back and forth and there's a little bit of contact there, they assume that that is sparring. In our opinion, here at our academy, sparring is basically where two practitioners are fully equipped with protective equipment, so that way they can train safely, protect themselves and the other person. And at the school, we've got different stages in sparring, but let's say when you get to a point where you can randomly use your techniques freestyle in a controlled way, and there's no preset situations or combinations, so it's freestyle. So then, right then and there, you'll get to see where you're at with your fighting ability, right? How well can you cover? How well can you protect yourself? And can you execute the techniques that you have in your brain? Because a lot of people may know a ton of techniques and movements, but then they struggle to execute them, right? What's the saying? Analysis paralysis, right? Too much information. And when you get someone who launches a punch to your face and it's instant, bang, how do you react to it? And then if that did happen, what do you do next? Do you collapse? Do you follow up? Do you cover? Do you get angry, right? Some people that don't have much experience, they get frustrated, they get angry. And it's not about that, right?
No, and there's stages of development in your sparring. So, the way we do it here is we have the dummy versus Wing Chun. And then, when they so dummy versus Wing Chun, for those who don't know, is where one opponent will throw a few techniques, punches and kicks, and still random, but we know you're going to get a straight punch or a round kick, and then you start applying your counter attacks to that.
And then the dummy gives you the opportunity to counter.
To counter.
Right.
And so that's the first little bridge to freestyle sparring. Then you go into freestyle sparring, you start moving around, and then it gets progressively more advanced. And recently you've added those extra stages like takedowns and elbows, knees, depending on the proficiency.
Exactly.
But all in a safe and controlled way.
That's right. There's nothing better when you see a couple students, or the class in general, like last night after our sparring session, everyone happy, everyone sweating, enjoying themselves and proud of what they had just done. Right?
Because that's the whole point of it. You're trying to put all these things, concepts and techniques together to be able to do it in a freestyle way. So, that's a very hard thing to do. But I think the syllabus, like you've managed to put it all together now to, these stages where people can make those steps. It's quite methodical. It's not a random thing where, all right, we drill on Monday and then we're sparring on Friday, and you've just got to come up with it. There's a process.
Yes.
The biggest thing I think with people that hold them back with inspiring is this idea that they have to win.
Right. And that's a big one, because...
And for a long time, even me, it's like I would get really upset, like not in the moment, but when I would go home because I lost a sparring match.
Right.
And then, but the big thing change for me was realizing it's a tool.
Yes.
Right, for my training. So if I get hit or my fake didn't work or all these things that you try to do in sparring, then it only makes you want to get better at that.
Yes.
Right? And then you think, all right, I need to drill this more. I need to work on this because it's not working. They're not buying what I'm selling. And I need to come up with another way. For a long time, like, with my footwork, then you go back, you work on the footwork. You find a way to get around. Someone's too fast for me. How do I beat someone that's faster than me?
Yep.
Someone's overpowering me. You come up with all these ideas in terms of fighting that aren't, you don't get that from drilling.
Yeah. And you've been in sports for many years. You can see the let's just say martial arts sports in general. Mm-hmm. You can see the athlete, the student in this case here, that really listens to the teacher or the coach in sports. And those are usually the ones that always consistently get better at it.
Yes.
Right? So you're right, because some people may think that every time you get into a sparring match, you have to win. Right? But you have to take lots of things into consideration. Number one, your level of expertise, right? Who are you versing at that given time? Because, of course, if I've been training for 7 years and the person in front of me has been training for 7 months, of course I'll win, but what's the big deal in doing that? You shouldn't even feel proud about that. But if you use a sparring session as a lab to develop different parts of your game and to use that creativity, to use everything that I've taught you and trying to apply it. And you just go step by step, one thing at a time. I always say this, one thing at a time method, because I use it with David, with my son. And I think you've seen his progress within the last year.
Definitely.
Now, with sparring, I just give him one thing to do per week. So then he'll go back to me every night once we've finished our sparring session. And of course, he'll ask me, how did I do? What can I improve? And what should I work on this week? And then I'll just say the one thing. And then he works on it. Right? And I can see the progress. I can see him trying his best to work on that, to apply it. Because, and this is a tip for everyone out there, you should have a goal. You should have a purpose in your training, but we've all got the long-term goal and then we've got short-term goals. And you have to take it one step at a time, because if you have a big goal, it's basically a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're not going to get there in 30 days. You need to work on it. But having said that, if you've got that big goal, then you should have like little chapters in between where you have to analyze, of course, every 30 days, am I moving one step closer to reaching that goal? And then that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. That's why the seniors are here, to help you in that process in trying to get better every single time. So how hard should a student spar?
Well, I think recently, like over the last few years, I think people have realized that they shouldn't be sparring hard. Like you can see it in MMA. I think the Thai fighters for a long time, they just spar very light because you have to be safe, and those are professional fighters.
Well, do you know why? Like the main reason why? Because my experience with sparring and training with Muay Thai fighters, most of the times they do that because if you get injured in sparring, you don't make money when you fight.
Right.
You can't fight.
Yeah.
And then for most of these guys in Thailand, you don't fight, you don't eat.
Yeah.
If you don't make money, you get thrown out of the camp.
Right.
Right? Because we'll find another guy.
Yeah.
So those are for professional fighters. And I agree, especially when you spar. If you're sparring hard, the mindset of that session is completely different.
Right.
And you're going to stick to your tools. You're going to stick to what you know you're good at.
Yeah.
So then you're not going to evolve. You're not going to get any better.
You're not going to experiment.
You're not going to experiment. You're not going to use the creativity to try out something new because you're just going to work on what's safe and what you know you're good at.
Yeah.
And when you do that, is that helping the person in front of you?
Yeah.
And let us not forget the big elephant in the room. Most people that train martial arts, whether it's here at this school or any school around the world, 90%, if not more, they're everyday people.
Yeah, they've got jobs to go to.
They've got jobs.
Families.
Teachers, dentists, mechanics, lawyers, businessmen, students, kids that need to go to school, kids that need to go to uni.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to impress, being the tough guy?
And you can't afford to get hurt.
You can't. You get hurt, you don't go to work, and then you don't pay your bills. So
and it stops it from being fun.
Yes.
Then it becomes a thing where it's only restricted to a few that want to do that.
Right.
Right? And then all those other people that need the training, need the sparring to evolve in their art, miss out because you've built this culture of people, hitting hard. And I think, I don't want to say there's no place for that, but it's for a few specific people. And I think generally you'll see the whole class evolve and get better with light sparring because they're able to express what they know.
And you can do everything.
You can do all the things.
You don't need to go all out, in my opinion, to really get better.
We're not talking about tapping.
No. There's still a fair amount of force in the strikes.
It's just being responsible
and conscious about what's going on.
Yeah, and when you're sparring someone, it's your responsibility also to keep them safe.
Exactly.
And that's how you develop good relationships.
That's right.
Like a lot of the people that I'm closest to, we've developed that relationship in sparring, and so there's a trust there.
Yes, because I know you're going to take care of me, and I'll take care of you.
That's right. And so then that bond between you and you, that's another part of it. Like, it's important to develop that trust in your training partner.
Yes. And plus, when the atmosphere is light and friendly, it's more enjoyable. When it's enjoyable, you want to do it more often. Yeah. When you do it more often, you get better at it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's human instinct. You hit me hard, now I'm going to hit you hard. And it just gets out of control.
That's also most people that I know of, and including myself, that's how you can basically know how hard you want to go with a sparring match.
Right.
Because if I'm going with someone, I'll usually, let me clarify, this is for sparring, this is not for real fighting. When I'm sparring someone, I'll usually let them, launch the first kick, the first punch, then I know how hard this person wants to go, so I can match it. And when I've gone in, my travels and sparring with so many people, and I feel the intensity of the kick, all right, I'll match you.
Right.
You go light, I'll match you. I'll go light. You go hard, I'll match you. I'll go harder. And as you said, it's human nature.
Yeah.
No one wants to get hurt.
Yeah.
And especially if you've got the tools to protect yourself and you know what you're doing, then, that will just be the way it is.
It's, hard sparring, it's at a certain level. Like, those guys are experts. If you're just getting into sparring or an intermediate person, it's not constructive because you're in fight or flight mode. Right. You're operating on instincts and
reacting, just reacting. You're not really in terms of reacting in emergency mode.
Yeah, and it's all happening so fast and hard. Do you ever go home and reflect on that?
Right.
Like, when you're training in a tempo that you can handle, you can go home and think, oh yeah, that happened there. Maybe I should try this.
Right.
And you can, and that's a part of the learning process.
And at the same time, I believe that if you know you took care of your training partner, you feel good about yourself.
True.
Right? If you're driving home, right, with regret or worried and knowing that you went a bit too hard with any other training partner, you know you did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And learn from it and don't do it again.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy this episode. It's all about sparring. If you have any comment, please leave it down below. And we'd greatly appreciate a review if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify. Guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, comment down below if there's any topic that you would like us to discuss. And once again, Stefan, thanks so much for today.
Thanks, SiFu.
And that's it, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Okay, guys, so that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button, share it with a friend. And guys, don't forget to check out some of my other videos. There's plenty of material there to keep you busy training and taking your Wing Chun to the next level. If you haven't already, check out my online academy. It's umauniversity.com.au. There's a free introductory applied Wing Chun course you can check out and learn from those videos as well. Having said that, I'll see you in the next one.